go to the Pasadena New Thought Center. No, I can't use that because another church. It's time to go to church. And anyway, she's wrestling with him, and she goes, "Come on, get up, it's time to go to church." He goes, "No, I don't want to." And she goes, "Why don't you want to? Come on." And he says, "The people are mean and they don't like me." And she said, "It doesn't matter. You're the minister. Get Pastor opens us up. We breathe more. Our face brightens up. I just love laughter. My talk is a mystical life, or living the mystic life. And I thought about it too, looking for that special message that's really going to identify what a mystical life is. And what happened for me is I kept thinking about shadows. The bigger the light, the bigger the shadow. There can't be a shadow if there's not an obstacle. And in a mystic's life, we walk through the valley of the shadow. We do it anyway, even though it's difficult, even though we might not be able to see, even though we may not know what all's happening, we stay in faith. We walk by faith. So even though the shadow is there, because I tell people all the time that they go, "I just want to be the light." Well, the light casts a shadow on the obstacles all around us. And if you stand in the sunlight, and if you're only looking at the shadow, you miss the brilliance of the sun. You miss the brilliance of the sky, the birds singing. It's such a beautiful backyard. Does anybody go back there? Oh my God, it's gorgeous. So I want to share a little story about, my friend was out here doing a talk. She's from Canada. And she got a phone call from her mom and says, "Honey, if you want to see Daddy, you better come home now." And without thinking, she made a reservation. She went to the airport, got on a plane, and went home. And then she called and said, "Oopsie, can somebody bring me my clothes? Everything is still at the hotel." So I said, "You know what, I can do that. I'll fly to Canada." So they got me a ticket, spend the night, and turn around and go back, right? So I go there, and I'm meeting with her and her mom. I spend the night, I'm having a great time. However, Canada at this time of the year, it had snow on the ground, but it was more like a slushy, you know? It was overcast, cloudy, and just kind of gloomy, but it had its own beauty to it. It wasn't dark. But when I went to the airport, people were walking like this, you know, not really looking up. I felt like everybody could feel the gloom of the day. You know, it wasn't like California sunshine or anything. I get on the plane, we take off. The takeoff is bumpy. The takeoff is through clouds. And we're going through clouds for a long way, and I'm like, I don't like this, I need to see the sun. This is enough. I don't, where are we going? Give me something I can see. And we traveled a long way through gray clouds, dark clouds, white clouds, sun. And I thought, wow, how beautiful it is from this view. How beautiful it is to look at things from the highest possible thought or perception, that even when there's clouds out, the sun is out. Even though we can't see some things, we still have the confidence in knowing that the sun is out. And I thought, oh man, I don't really like clouds, but I gotta make peace with it because I'm on this metal thing shooting through the sky, and I'm knowing that the sun is out. God has got this. I'm where I'm supposed to be. When I'm getting off the plane, you know how the stewardess and the captain and the co-pilot and everybody are there? And and I walked by him and I said, "Thank you for getting here safe, but next time, go through those clouds faster. I was scared." And he laughed. And you know what he told me? That's my favorite part. That's when I have to trust that I know that I know. That I understand the instruments, I know what I'm doing, and that even though I can't see where we're going, I know we're headed there perfectly. And I'm like, I'm a ministerial student, and I'm walking off the plane like, I should have known that. But how powerful it is to know that even though there's shadows, even though there's things that we may not understand, even though we don't know where the next 5 years are going, and we never knew exactly anyway, but even though we don't know, we can have the faith that we've developed from the teachings of spiritual mind treatment, from science of mind, that we are safe, God has got this, and all is good. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Oh, yes, sure.
This is important to know because I know a lot of people in science of mind, and I'm sure you do too. And in science of mind, there's a lot of people that study and they educate themselves. And then we start talking that science of mind speak, and we sound like we're up there with the smartest of the smartest and the brightest of the brightest. It is in the application of walking the talk, that trusting that even though I don't know where this is going, I have the faith that we're going to get there the way we should, with more than enough. Even though the obstacles are casting a shadow, there's not really anything out there. It's all in here. I remember watching Marianne Williamson speak once, and she said she was having some difficulties with her in health challenges, and she went to the doctor, and the doctor says, "Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think it's all in your head." And she said, "No, not there." But some things are just like that. They're all projections of taking what we're experiencing, thinking we know what's happening, and thinking we can predict where it's going. I'm the only one, I'm sure, that does that. But I was driving down the street the other day, all by myself, having a perfectly good time, and all of a sudden, I started rehearsing a conversation in my head, and it wasn't very good. And I'm like, "Judy, what are you rehearsing for? What are you calling forth?" Because that rehearsing prepares us to prepare and stand by. We will make sure they know what we know and that we're right at that time. And I know I was just rehearsing. Thank God it wasn't real, because I didn't want to say anything that could hurt or hinder my spiritual path or anybody else. I was trying to be funny there. Thanks for that. And, you know, I remember that there was a lady that spoke at one of the mini conferences I was at, and she was talking about her negotiation with President Clinton on the NAFTAs. You remember that? The NAFTAs with South and North Americas? And she called it the Americas, And she was talking about her skill in negotiation, the patience that she had with listening to other people's views and coming together for a better outcome for all concerned. And she was talking about it. I go, "God, I'm so impressed with this lady." And she goes, "Yes, I walked with the confidence that I knew what I knew. And I was able to negotiate with President Clinton." And she goes, "And then the conference was over, or the meeting was over, and now she went rafting with her daughters on the river. And then she said, I agreed to go down the gentle rapids of this river without knowing how to swim. I've been in the pool before on a floaty. I've sat with my feet in the water on the edge of the ocean, but I've never swam out or got in the middle of water before. And the daughters told her not to worry, Mom, because there's going to be a guide with us, and he's going to teach us how to swim, teach us how to navigate the waters. She agreed to it, and then she got there and she started projecting all these problems. And thought, I don't know how to swim, I'm gonna drown, I can't do this, I won't do this, I can't go with my daughters, even though I promised. And the daughters kept saying, just let it go, Mom. Just let it go. Be like you're gonna trust and have faith, like you say you do. You have faith that something bigger is happening here. That life has got this. God has got this. So the guy tells them what to do. Don't grab a hold of the reeds of the river. You're going to get knocked around on the rocks. Don't try and control it. Relax into it and let the current, the present moment, the current of the flow take you downstream. The daughters talk to her. They did a nice prayer. The mother says, I understand and know what I need to do. And then she got in the water and did this anyway, you know. She tried to control it, tried to stand up, tried to do whatever she could. And said she was going to trust the process and then panic in the current situation. I'm sure we're only talking about water rafting. But eventually the two daughters stayed right next to her and go, Mom, look, we're not fighting, we're floating. Relax, just lean back into it. And she would do it for a second or two, but then jump up and try and grab the reeds and try and stop the process even though she was in the flow. And the one daughter said, look up, Mom, you can see heaven from here. And when she looked up, she calmed down and was able to go the rest of the way and enjoy the process with the daughters. Why do I tell you that story? I tell you that story because we go to classes, we read our Science of Mind magazines, we do our prayer treatments, and then we still have human experiences where doubt sneaks in you didn't even know you had. You weren't even aware of it. But participating in things that stretch you allow you to see all aspects of you so that you can grow through whatever might be scaring you, whatever you may not know, and live that mystical life by trusting the process and learning and growing. I've told you guys before, I strongly believe that if you stay green, you grow, you ripen, you start to rot. We always want to be curious. We always want to be loving. We always want to be on the edge of growth. So for me, living the mystical life and reading some questions that I was asked recently, it came up with these stories. This all poured forth in and through me that this is important to know. Yes, we're going to have obstacles. The shadows will be there. We walk through them. We handle them anyway. We're going to be in situations that we may not understand how to handle, but we're going to get in the flow of it and go with it to be able to get through it and learn. And then I started looking at money. Now, money's a tricky subject for anybody, anywhere. But I use money because it's quantifiable. You can measure it. And I have these quotes, and it says, abundance is not something we acquire, it's something we tune into. When you go to get a job, or hopefully you got a job in a position with a skill that you were good at, and you got even better. So thoughts of lack manifest as limitation. Thoughts of abundance manifest as success and happiness. And God wills us to have everything. As we express life, we fulfilled God's law of abundance. God is working through us. And it is unscientific to dwell upon lack because it creates what we don't want. And it's very scientific to meditate on success and abundance because it will manifest that. If you want to prosper in your circumstances, you first have to prosper in your mind. How big of a container can we be? And in many of the teachings it says, people without a vision perish. What is your vision for the, Wayne Dyer used to call it, for the sunset of your life? What is your vision? Are we in the waiting room? Or are we in the thriving room? What's your vision? Because I may be a certain age, and it's none of your business what they but inside, I'm still 20. I feel great. I feel like I want to create things, travel, do things. I'm excited about that. So what's the vision for yourself? What's the vision for this community? For this center? What's the vision? And are we living life joyfully? Or are we robbing ourselves of our own good thoughts and nature? Now, nobody would do that intentionally, right? Nobody would do that. They wouldn't rob themselves of joy. However, if they notice certain things, because we're shining our light on stuff, and if we're always shining our light like we are the newscasters on popular news stations, and all we're doing is listening to what's happening in the world, that can bring us down. And it says to be in the world but not of it. So if we're talking about our passions, if we can talk about what's not yet seen but felt, not yet expressed but desired, if we can put that in the forefront and speak of that, watch how it pops up everywhere we go. I recently thought of somebody I hadn't seen in 20 years. And I just thought of them. And then the other day, my friend Linda says, "Hey, Michael Morningstar asked how you were doing." And I'm like, what? I was just talking about him. So now I'm thinking of all the guys I ever knew. So let me tell you, because one of the questions was, how would you create financial opportunities, or how would you grow, or what would you do? And the best way for me to communicate is through stories. So I'm going to tell you about this, and it's a true story. You can look it up. It happened at Grace Baptist Church in the early 1900s. But this little girl of modest opportunity in life, loved to go to Sunday school. Loved to go to Sunday school. She would get up every Sunday and go. And sometimes, circumstances beyond her control, she couldn't always get in the room. They would turn her away. And one day she was leaving the Sunday school class, and the pastor ran into her, and he said, "What's wrong?" And she says, There's no room for me in Sunday school. And he goes, "Yes, we need a bigger room." And he goes, "I pray for the day that we can build a bigger room." And the little girl goes, "Thank you, Pastor. I really want to go to Sunday school." And it touched his heart, but it empowered her. Because what she heard is there's a possibility that we can build a bigger church, a bigger room. So this little girl goes home, and in the 1900s, you could buy a home for $250. So she started saving pennies. And unfortunately, this little girl declined in health and passed away. And the mother called the pastor to come. And she gave him this little purse with 57 cents in it, and a note that says, for the new church building. And the pastor was just brokenhearted that this little girl took action and did something and had a plan so that she would never miss church. Where he said, yeah, we need a new building, but, you know. The little girl inspired the pastor, and he changed that 57 cents into 57 pennies. And he told the congregation the story. And he said, for a tithe offering, you may have one of her pennies. Where we want to raise even more money to make this little girl's dream come true. And people donated money, and they bought those pennies, but 54 of those pennies came back to the pastor because the people said, I believe in this little girl's desire, and I don't want it to stop here with me. I want it to circulate even more. And they ended up raising enough money to start building that church, that Sunday school building, so that there would never be anybody turned away. That people from all over America were going there to learn this little girl's heartfelt message. Her heartfelt desire didn't know the grown-up version of, do you know what it costs? Do you know what you gotta do? Do you know you gotta get permits? Do you know? She just knew that's what she wanted, and she made it possible. And so the purpose or the inspiration came from the little girl. But the building was a manifestation of the congregation, that everybody pulled together. When you have a vision, it's easy to come together and make things happen, or not make things happen. That's not the science of mind terminology. To become an instrument for things to happen through. Because we don't have to do anything. We get to create. We get to co-create with Spirit. Living a mystic life is knowing what your vision is, knowing what your purpose is, knowing what your passion is, and then sharing it with the world, sharing it with each other. Where 57 cents can become a great campus. I think it was Chicago that many people could go to. Is there a little girl or a little boy in you that has a 57-cent idea that always meant something to you? Is there a purpose or a passion? Is there anything you ever wanted to do that's still possible? In God, all things are possible. I accept, I know, and I feel that the creation process is moving in and through me, through what I see, what I feel, what I say, and what I do. Are you willing to participate in something greater than ourselves? That we can come together and be the light in Pasadena, that people always knew there was more, but they didn't realize it was this. Is it possible? If it's possible, just taking a deep breath in, giving it life, give it focus, which is your light, which is the sun in you, and then just believe it. Believe that you have, that you may receive. Ask and it is given. Let's test this and see what happens. If you are anywhere near that point in your life where you go, you know, we're at the next chapter of our life. And there's no age limit, and there's no investment limit, there's no time commitment limit. What it is I'm showing up, creating the love of God every day. And how does that happen for you in your life? So that is my talk regarding a mystic life. To first embody, it's in you, it's creating in you, it's your desire. God can only work from the inside out. And outside influences may distract distract us, but they can't create in and through us like the power and the presence of God. So when we focus more on what's happening on the inside than what we do on the outside, we're unstoppable. I appreciate your time today. I appreciate being able to talk to you about the mystic life, where it's not about learning. It's not about how much do you have or how much you don't have. It's just about knowing that we're individualized expressions of God. And if you look in the mirror and if you don't see the eyes of God, the face of God, I invite you to stand there